Good afternoon, everybody. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to Orica Talks at the 12th edition of Orica Kuwait. Organized by Hospitality News Middle East in partnership with Leaders Group and Odema Consulting Services, the leading provider of consulting services for hotels, restaurants, spa, and real estate projects. These sessions aim to shed light on hot topics in the industry, from food tech to women shaping gastronomy in Kuwait. Please do follow Hospitality News Middle East and tag us in your stories. First of all, I'd like to introduce our moderator, the lovely Ms. Nada Alamuddin, Managing Partner of Odema Consulting Services, who will be moderating our talk this afternoon. And the topic of today's discussion is navigating Kuwait's hospitality landscape, trends and projections. So it gives me great pleasure to welcome our panelists. We'll start with Mr. Federico Mantovani, the General Manager of Grand Hyatt Kuwait. I'm just going to read a brief bio about each of our panelists so that you get to know them better. With extensive global Hyatt experience, Federico brings invaluable hospitality insights and aligns seamlessly with Hyatt values. A seasoned hotelier for over 25 years, notably in the Middle East, he is an expert in launching and managing diverse hotels. His pragmatic leadership thrives in competitive environments, fostering collaborative, high-performance teams for superior results. I'd like to now move over to Mr. Fadi Hijazin, the CEO of Argana Hotels and Resorts. Fadi is an accomplished leader. He brings over 25 years of executive experience to his role as CEO of Argana Hotels and Resorts. With a rich background in five-star chains, hotel chains, and pivotal regional roles at Qatar Airways across the Levant and GCC, he has consistently demonstrated strategic prowess, propelling growth and excellence. Celebrated for his regional approach, he adeptly achieves sales targets, steers market development, and optimizes operations. And next we have Mr. Martin Kipping, the General Manager of Four Seasons Hotel Kuwait at Burj Al Shaya. Different cultures have always captivated Martin, who, with more than 25 years experience in luxury hospitality across the globe, is one of the industry's consummate professionals. He spent a decade crafting an extraordinary resume that spans a multitude of posts for high-end brands in North America, Latin America, and the Caribbean. But it was the values and familial culture of Four Seasons that drew him back to the prestigious brand. I'm almost there. Mr. Eli Saliba, the Cluster General Manager of Crown Plaza and Holiday Inn Kuwait Al Thuraya City. With over 25 years in hospitality, Eli Saliba has enjoyed many significant career moments, including the 2018 IHG Impact Award for Restaurants and Bars during his leadership at Intercontinental Doha Beach and Spa, particularly noteworthy during the FIFA World Cup. His commitment to elevated operational standards has shone through in Lebanon, Kuwait, Jordan, and Qatar, and he is currently leading the team at Crown Plaza and Holiday Inn Kuwait Al Thuraya City. And last but not least, Mr. Oz Sulanthala, General Manager at the Regency Hotel Kuwait. Oz has over 30 years of experience in global hospitality leadership, spanning Europe, the Far East, and the GCC. He has worked for prestigious brands, including the Four Seasons, the Shangri-La, the Marriott, Hilton, and Intercontinental, and currently he serves as the GM of the Regency Hotel Kuwait. And on that note, I'd like to hand over to Nada to start this afternoon's discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Good afternoon and welcome again to our first session in a series of talks that we will be having during the 3 days of Orica. I will be starting with my first question, and being here general managers of leading hotels in Kuwait, we would like to start by really understanding what is the current state of the hospitality. If we can ask the question to Federico.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon, everyone. It's a very broad question, right? So I think we will share the responsibility of answering. But having been in Kuwait for 5 years, and Grand Hyatt has opened its doors a year and a half ago, we obviously see the industry coming out of a very tough period with COVID. Last year was a period of, trying to refine its balance. This year is yet to be seen. I think there are challenges. There are challenges inherent to, visas and business in general, corporate, government business, that hinder a little bit our ability to maximize on occupancy. But I think the future is bright. I've been in the Middle East for 20 years and in Kuwait for 5. And I see the incredible potential Kuwait has. So I'm very hopeful that, these are transitionary periods and that we will see occupancies rise and demand increase. And, the supply that keeps increasing, and many people say it's not at the same pace than the supply, needs to be rebalanced. And obviously, I think we share the sentiment, and I think hopefully everybody agrees with me that the future can only look brighter.
Thank you, Nada. Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, I agree with you, Federico, that the hospitality industry in Kuwait is a resilience over the volatility of the geopolitical situations, the COVID, situation that comes back stronger than before. I believe the hotels in general offer great products. We have 3 different categories of hotels that have varieties of services that have been offered. There's a new trend that starts opening up in the market, which is attached to the malls, the beach, destinations, hotels related to that. Kuwait always played a major role in terms of the tourist attractions for all the different segments, whether the business traffic or recently what the country has invested a lot in terms of the cultural, tourism, i.e. we had noticed a lot of museums has been opened recently, a lot of cultural centers has opened that would support the tourism itself. Yes, there are a lot of challenges related to that, but I believe with the vision of Kuwait 2030, there are a lot are required in terms of infrastructure related to the tourisms, related to the governmental affairs, related to the recruiting the qualified, staffing, and competing regionally, and being in the map of the GCC, which I believe the new summits that's been decisions in terms of the tourism, in terms of between all the GCC countries, the infrastructure that is taking place among all the GCC, that would drive Kuwait to the position of branding it as a cultural and authentic destinations in the future.
Thank you, Fadi. If before that we continue, now we know that occupancy has been noted at 42% in 2023. And this is basically, there has been a major rebound after COVID, for sure, for the industry. We know that 5-star hotels are leading with 4,000 rooms. That's when we're gonna now speak more about Four Seasons, Martin. And 50 to 52% occupancy for the 4-star hotels with 3,600 rooms. And we are maintaining a steady performance with an occupancy rate of 40 to 42%. Now, 3-star hotels, they're featuring 1,800 rooms, showcasing the best occupancy range, fluctuating between 50 and 60%. So what was the situation at the Four Seasons, be it in the 5-star and in the luxury segment?
Yeah, thank you. You know, I don't believe that the luxury segment has ever come out of COVID. In addition to the opening of, some new properties towards the end of 2022, the Grand Hyatt as well as Waldorf Astoria opening certainly created even more compression in a luxury market, which really has not seen a tremendous uplift due to various reasons. So when I'm looking at 2022, 2023, and even outlook 2024, from an occupancy perspective, it is actually relatively flat and a bit disappointing, I believe, in regards to what we are seeing in other markets in the GCC. Now, having said this, I 100% agree with what Fadi was saying as well. The GCC certainly has a wonderful dynamic at the moment, with whatever is happening in Saudi Arabia, certainly what happened a year ago in Qatar with the World Cup. But I do believe as well that Saudi Arabia is starting to become a little bit of a black hole here in the GCC. And, we're certainly seeing from a hotel perspective that a lot of, or some of our guests from other GCC countries are now tending to travel to Saudi Arabia and Riyadh instead of visiting Kuwait. And we see this as well with some of our Qatari or Bahraini guests. So occupancy is a struggle. We personally at the Four Seasons have not seen a lot of growth in regards to occupancy. And we're not anticipating as well a lot of growth in 2024. I believe 2024 is a very challenging year due to some geopolitical reasons. With Ramadan moving 10 days earlier, it becomes a very short season, a very competitive season. And I think we'll continue to see a struggle in regards to occupancy, I believe, until, some decisions are made in the country in regards to, opening the country more, visa restrictions, etc., etc.
Eli, what about average room rate and length of stay at your hotels?
Okay, good afternoon.
Are we seeing as well a difference in the average spend?
Let me start a little bit backward, beginning of 2023. So I just joined in June, coming from Qatar. Yeah, I know everyone talking about the ADR in Kuwait, but I have to tell you that we are in a healthy position if you want to compare, for example, like Qatar, despite the World Cup and all other events, including this year, the Asian Cup and others. So I have to say with 2023 was like as officially the first year outside the COVID. I think the start was very healthy. So there is definitely two different scenarios that happened last year. The first 6 months of the year where we saw the occupancy growing, at least for the 4 and 5 stars hotel, including the ADR. And starting from July onwards, so you can see the drop and you can see the changes happening in September, and definitely due to the situation, the political situation, we as 4 and 5 stars hotel, the impact was, I think, higher than other segments. Looking for beginning of this year, we are ready, we prepared, we planned accordingly. I'm sure Kuwait, looking at the region and what's happening, and also the changes that are happening currently in terms of government and others. So I'm sure the plan is in place. We're preparing for that. We're trying to maintain ADR this year. Last year, there was a drop, especially the last quarter. 4 stars and 5 stars hotels, we depend a lot, at least the 4 stars hotel, we depend a lot on different segments from the business, and everything was canceled. I mean, events, leisure groups, sports groups. And then this what impact mainly all this fierce competition between other hotels. And I'm sure this was the main reason behind the drop in ADR. However, we're maintaining, we're trying to do our best and to go with the market as not only us, I think, I'm sure other hotels, they're doing that. And don't forget working internally. We're trying to have kind of alternative options and to mitigate this drop in ADR, how to want to make sure to maintain our profits and plan for this year. Starting this year, we are very optimistic. The vibes is there, not tangible yet. Starting the year, we're in line. Hopefully, we'll continue. February, April, there is good stories, and I can see these vibes in the market. However, as Martin said, Ramadan coming forward
Earlier
and
in
then
March,
definitely
yeah.
earlier this year will tide a little bit the first quarter. So we need to survive and then look
Pick it
mid of
up again.
April onwards.
Urs, if you can just as well share your experience with us regarding the occupancy, what's happening, what's the outlook for you?
I mean, we actually recovered. Good afternoon, all. We actually recovered quite well from 22 after COVID, and we had seen a positive growth. Of course, then Waldorf Astoria and Grand Hyatt opened their doors, and of course, they also took away a piece of the cake and a share. Now, for us specifically, 23 was a challenging year because we, of course, wanted to grow the rates as well. And diverse also the clientele to further open the market to different segments. So I would say 23 was not as successful as 22, but 24 we have an aggressive, challenging year, which we hope to achieve, of course, and we have plans to roll out to challenge this situation. But what has grown very positively over the last 3 years actually is the F&B. Banqueting particularly. There's a lot of weddings which we are having at the hotel.
Probably because during COVID, they were not able to get married and to do all the social events. Yeah. So now it's like the comeback.
Actually, during COVID, we had the advantage towards other hotel. We have a beautiful garden. So we did a lot of outdoor weddings, which we did not have that much before. So yes, but weddings and the social events again is very well performing, and also the F&B restaurants.
Okay, now who's coming lately to Kuwait? Are we still like really having the same type of clientele coming? How much Saudi? We were speaking about Saudi Arabia and that it definitely affected Kuwait because of the open strategy that they're having over there. As Martin was mentioning, Riyadh has been like really the destination for so many, and with the ease that they're having with visas and so on. So we know that there are lots of intermarriages between Saudis and Kuwaitis. Are they still coming? So basically, who can tell us more about it? Martin?
Yeah, I mean, we certainly do see a good amount of GCC tourism, if you like to call it such, in regards to guests who have families in Kuwait, relatives coming to social events, doing their shopping. There's still a component in regards to coming to Kuwait, I think, from a culinary experience standpoint as well. But it's a bit of a perfect storm because we see that there is a drop coming from some of the other GCC countries. And on the flip side, I think 2023 Riyadh season has drawn more Kuwaitis outside of Kuwait than ever before during this period. And 23, 24 is to be seen, but it's a bit of a perfect storm of less people coming in and then as well more people leaving the country, where we in the past as well have been quite heavily relying on staycations and Kuwaitis who wanted to have a break away from their homes and enjoy luxury in a hotel environment. So but yes, we still see kind of the same customers. What we have seen a little bit in 2023 was a bit of an uptick in UK and US travel for us. So these were very positive indications. We certainly hope that this will continue as well in 2024. But to be seen. I mean, the overall geosource it's quite similar with a bit of an uptick of UK, US market for us, a little bit reduction in regards to Saudi and Qatari market.
Okay, so basically, Federico, did you notice any shift as well at your hotel in terms of profile of tourists?
So we've been open
nationality?
for a year, so we have only 1 year of data,
Yes.
right? So I'll be cautious in passing judgment, but I think the same drivers of business are the same than the competitors, right? I think we do very well on weekends because we are a total leisure destination with the Rafa Nadal Tennis Academy, with the Arena Kuwait in terms of pure entertainment for families. And we see that drives a lot of business from our neighboring countries. So a lot of Saudis and Qataris and Bahrainis. So our issue is not very much the weekend business. It's more the weekday business because the core of the corporate business sits in the downtown area. And therefore, for us, it's still a bit of a challenge. I would like to say as well that we just launched a residential complex in Sabah Salem, and we see that 90% over the last month, we opened a month and a half ago, is predominantly Saudi. That come across the border, they see the value on the offering and the pricing, and so
they still come as well.
they're still coming, right? So I'm hopeful that, and I would like to thank the Kuwaitis who support the local hotels as well on the weekends. But we cannot survive purely on weekend business. We really need
Definitely we cannot,
systemic change on how do we fill the hotels during the week, right?
Eli, are we still like a corporate destination? Is Kuwait still? I know that you have been in the country not long ago, but from the history that you have from both Holiday Inn and Crown Plaza, and having those hotels with like big meeting room facilities, are we still like really here as in Kuwait considered as such?
Yeah, definitely the comparing to the past, you can see that the number of travelers, especially when you talk about seminars, events, government is less. Don't forget all these kind or type of events bring attendance from outside. So definitely is less. However, for us at least, we still, the main business is the conferences and the corporate guests. Some visa issues, maybe sometimes here and there could impact the business and the flow. We witnessed last year a lot of conferences that they moved from maybe Kuwait last minute. We had a lot of requests, especially during the last quarter. There suddenly you see it, they are not coming anymore to Kuwait.
And where do they go to?
Mainly we hear that Bahrain, I got some couple of them, they went back to Bahrain, others to UAE definitely. So this was definitely a drive that why we're losing this business toward other region. However, for our hotels, the corporate still main. So certainly we are not a destination for tourism, Crown Plaza and Holiday Inn. However, in terms of feeders and market feeders, still Saudi is, we can see that it's one of the main, followed as Martin mentioned that the Americans and then British, it's growing. So we do witness slightly some changes, but Saudi remains the first market feeder for us. Thank you.
Urs, what about your hotel? Do you still have as well Saudis as the main source market for you?
Yes, the hotel has been in the market for 40 years and is a local brand. And we also,
exactly, that's the difference with the rest of the gentlemen.
Yes, and we're very proud also we're Sharia compliant hotel where, is very dominantly by Saudi guests, which used to come to stay in Kuwait and experience what they can't in their country. Now, of course, 2019, everything changed. And yes, there is less inflow of Saudi guests, but we have seen a positive trend of actually local guests coming much more to the hotel. So our focus is also changing and focus much more on the local Kuwaitis.
So basically, we have a lot of like internal tourism in Kuwait. So
yes.
This is happening. Yeah. They come from different parts of Kuwait, and they just come to the city to be like having a nice weekend. But this is again, it's a weekend business.
Not necessary. It all depends what they come for. But of course, dominantly is the weekend. But also sometimes they attend events, weddings, and so there is also weekdays business.
And what about the average spend per person? Did it change throughout the years, or we are still having the same? Basically in the luxury, for instance, segment, Martin and Federico.
Yeah, I think the spend is good. I mean, it really depends, I guess, on the property, the amenities the property is offering. From our perspective, with Four Seasons, we have 5 incredible dining options. And so the food and beverage revenue is a very important part for the success of our property. And the same for the spa. And I do believe that it really depends on location seasonally. It depends on what your offerings are in regards to product. And whom you're attracting from a client-based perspective outside of the Kuwaitis. But answering your questions in regards to the spend, it's great. I think that, there is no issue in the country with our Kuwaiti guests or the international guests in regards to spending. They understand quality, they understand the value they're getting, and as long as we're focusing on the value proposition, there's no challenge in regards to asking for either a rate or an average check, or you name it.
Now we're seeing that post-COVID, the type of travel has changed. We are seeing more of leisure, like the combination between going on business and doing leisure trips. How much F&B really is becoming important with hotels? We're seeing many of the hotels that are attached to shopping malls in Kuwait. We're seeing lots of food and beverage. So is there an ideal F&B mix for a hotel? Like in certain countries, restaurants at hotels are known to be not really attractive. What about Kuwait as a market? Federico?
Yeah, I think one of the most fascinating parts about Kuwait is really their food scene, right? And so to be players within a market that is saturated with homegrown, exceptional concepts is not an easy feat. And one thing that you don't want to be branded is a hotel restaurant, right? Mm-hmm. So we spend a lot of time trying to create brands that appear to be independent, right? And I use the hotel as for the backbone infrastructure. But the spirit of the restaurant needs to remain independent. For us, especially in the mall landscape where you have incredible dining opportunities, and also our guests, I don't think we compete with each other. I think we complement each other, because our guests that stay in the hotel also want to go out and experience, right? And the same applies to people that go to the mall. So we've enjoyed exceptional performances from our restaurants to date. But I think it's important to stay humble and keep your concepts up to the standard. And Kuwaitis know what food is all about. So pricing is important, and quality is certainly one of the key things that we watch for.
Yeah, I think, if we look at our customer base, from my perspective, our hotel, our average age of our customer is 37 years old. That's young. And I do believe that if you want to be relevant nowadays, and it doesn't matter if it's in Kuwait, if it's in London, wherever you are from a food and beverage perspective, you have to adapt to the local community. And this is challenging to a degree, but I do believe that food and beverage excellence is a key driver in regards to the success of the hotel nowadays, because it's more experience driven. Your stay, you're making decisions where to stay according to the offerings, not only in regards to if you get a good deal from a rate perspective. I think that our customers are very well informed about the product the hotel is offering. And so I do believe that food and beverage is an instrumental part, not only from a catering and banquet perspective. Here in Kuwait, certainly very important as well, but especially in regards to a product offering, in regards to food and beverage, and certainly towards the room component as well. Now, I strongly believe as well that you cannot say that 40% F&B revenue is good or bad. It really depends again on location. It depends on type of hotel, depends on offerings. From our perspective, we're reaching close to 50% food and beverage revenue at the Four Seasons. And, you know, are we happy with this? You know, at a certainly higher cost component, you know, yes and no. I mean, as long as on the room side, there's not much more in the market, we'll take it.
Fadi.
Maybe just to add one thing, you know, in my responsibility, we have 2 hotels, the Movenbeek, we have as well Arjan and Riaya, we have our standalone as well restaurants, 3, you know, Rihana, Barbecue Pro, and backyards related to that. All in terms of a beach locations surrounding around 30 to 40 restaurants and retail options in one location. The restaurant business initially, or the hotels, it was an all dining restaurants. That was the initial background of, you know, food and beverage. But not only in Kuwait, but it's all over the world. You could see that you want to come to see what creativity and innovativity you are putting in these restaurants. You know, people would come to that locations if it is the chef had put some creativity or a themed night that goes with the culture of that country itself. Yes, the competition is there. Yes, there's a lot of restaurants and variety, but I believe the food and beverage within the hotels, how you strategically position them in terms of your market segments, i.e. If you are a staycation product, so what you want to offer in terms of families, kids, if you are a standalone or beside the hotel, or you are in the city hotels, what themes that really worked well in terms of the market. But from all our own experience, we can see that the market and the demand has put a lot of pressure in terms of the creativity and the constants of services and personalized services that you could really offer to the visitors of your restaurants. It's not anymore about the food. Now it's become more personalized. So how to reach a segmented approach more than a marketing to all approach in terms of markets.
If we speak a little bit about the mix, Eli and Urs, now we can see that more and more hotels are open to be leasing part of their outlets to outside operators. Sometimes they even bring a franchise, or they do a franchise and they do the management, so that they have the backbone of the hotel, food and beverage, to take care of the logistics and so on. So what is your input about that?
Definitely, Nada. You know, nowadays I can't agree less with my colleagues that still in Kuwait, the story a little bit different than the region. So where guests, especially the local market, local residents, they like to go to hotels. Despite the big avenue we have with all the phases, despite the 360, still people likes to go to hotels. And however, like in our scenario, for example, Thuraya City, I think 10 years ago, many people, they know the hotel very well here, that the food and beverage used to represent up to 70% from the revenue coming from F&B. However, with time, new concepts came, new hotels, all these new options we have, and facilities, and they have the guests in the market. I would recommend definitely that to start a little bit focusing of what we really want to have in a hotel. So a hotel located not in, it's not on the beach or an area where very appealing to the tourists. So having 10 to 12 restaurants, like in our case, is a little bit heavy on the bottom line. So we definitely needs another revision to see how things and how many, as Fadi said, and all-day dining, couple of very well established and planned restaurants to be an option. But reality that after maybe 20 years in this hotel or 25 years, you still see all the restaurants are profitable, which also I agree with them. Still people go to hotels, still people likes to be sometimes in a hotel. Average age for our hotel is above 45. So he was talking about 37, younger generation maybe in Hyatt and in the new hotels and maybe on the beach hotels. However, in our hotel, the average age for people attending the restaurants are 45 and above. It's a legacy. Some parents, they've been there for a long time and then they come back and they keep on coming back. However, as you may know, we have the new Intercontinental coming hopefully mid of 2025 next year, and the plan is only one restaurant. And definitely we'll be looking at the option to outsource and then to franchise or to work closely with maybe a local entrepreneur, Kuwaiti style concepts to align it a bit with what's happening in the market, or to go for an international franchisor and then work together. But definitely any new property has to come with maybe one all-day dining, another specialty restaurant, and kind of lobby or brasserie kind of.
But they will definitely happen all day.
Yes.
In addition to that restaurant, whether is it a franchise or not, right?
Yep, definitely. So yeah, this is it.
Which would you like to add something?
Yeah, I mean the food scene in Kuwait is fantastic, I must say. Coming.
We have the biggest operators of food and beverage from Kuwait, actually.
Yeah, so to Kuwait you have a great sense and taste bud actually for food, and I think we have some chefs here, and I'm sure they can agree with me. Once you come in and work here as a foreign chef, you would very fast learn that you would need to adjust your menu and to the sweetness of their tooth and to their taste and so yes, culinary scene is huge here, but I must also say there's a lot of great concept restaurants, freestanding restaurants, and the money spent into the design. That's something which Kuwait is actually appreciate very much, something new. And whenever a new restaurant opens, or even in a hotel, and that's why we do pop-up restaurants as well, which is very popular and very much appreciated because they can see something completely new. And you can do that in a hotel as well. You have always some unused spaces, or even in your own restaurant where you can come up with a new design. Our business mix is now 60% food and beverage to 40% rooms actually. It has
And that's an
changed.
achievement for a hotel.
It has changed. Of course, food and beverage is also considered with banqueting. So 70% out of the restaurant and food and beverage is coming out with banqueting. So that's a big chunk.
Indeed, it is. Now, with the evolving nature of the industry and speaking about all the guest expectation and so on, how are you able to invest in your employees? So definitely we need lots of training, we need lots of people who are as well equipped to be serving those demanding customers. I know for international operators, you've got your in-house training programs and you invest a lot in your employees. What about as well independent hotels, and what can you tell us more about that? If you would like to start, Federico.
Well, I think it starts from recruitment, right? So we go through a very painstaking process of selecting people for their personality and their attitude. I think we all agree the technical skills in our industries are teachable, are transferable. But when you work in the luxury segment, is that 10% that has to do with the soft skills, with the interpersonal skills, with the interactions with guests that really leave that memorable experience, that connection, human connection, right? And guests now are really valuing the human connection piece, right? So for us at the hotel level, it requires a lot of people that actually understand it, right? That understand that level of training. I mean, we have 45 trainers within the hotel that support the training department. However, it is painstaking. Remember, we get a lot of our colleagues from countries where they come without experience, right? Where it's the first time they come out of their home country. So it's not just about training. There's a process of adaptation that takes a long time. And I think this leads to another big question for us. How do we retain talent? After we spent a lot of and invested a lot of time and money training them, how do we retain them? And that's I guess that's what keeps us all up at night, because we know the value they have on the overall reputation of the hotel, on the overall experience of our guests. But it is becoming more and more difficult. You have big markets opening up with better benefit structures, with a lot more freedom in terms of the social experiences that young kids can have, and therefore, you know, they're prone to be attracted by that. So we in Kuwait are doing a lot of work to try to, you know, keep them engaged and keep them close to us, right? I don't know if you want to add anything to it.
Maybe just to add, as we always say, it's not the hardware, it's the software which makes the difference. So I strongly believe in the hospitality industry, you know, the staffing always makes the difference. We always, sometimes you go to eat some knafe from a place that we know, which is very old, very traditional in downtown, because that place has doing it, or that guy meet us with a smile, or he knows our names, or he can recognize us by the way what we want to eat. So again, to go to the core of that, yes, I have 2 hotels, one international chain hotels, one standalone hotels, have our own restaurants, and as well other parties related to that. In terms of training, I would look at it from 2 parts, in-job training, off-job training, which means that there are 2 parts that we look to invest in terms of the staffing, which means the coaching, because we all see, you know, it's not only about the academic or the training course, it's beyond that. So it's not just finishing a course or certificate that you could really finish that, this is already trained. I believe even in my previous industry that we did not take the certificate after 6 months. So we need to make sure.
The industry is aviation.
Aviation.
Exactly.
Yes. So it has to be actually, you know, that you would have something called on-job training. So what you need to implement, you know, what you have learned, how do you monitor that, how you progress that, who's your mentor, who's your coach, and this is all assigned with the clear KPIs for them. So at least it can be monitored to understand that yes, that training course has been done, you know, a major, you know, effect. And I could see it a lot in the guest feedback when I reviewed with the team, whether it comes from the booking.coms, the hotels reports in terms of guest feedback. When this has been recognized by person, not by service, that I recognize that person's for offering 1, 2, 3. So you could see that that investment, not expenses, that investment that you had, you know, for the staffing, makes a big difference in terms of developing that and even, you know, growing that. And you cannot have any succession plan unless you would have proper training in place, whether it's a standalone, whether it is a chain, because this is how, you know, we can make sure that the younger generations that can really grow and you know, the older generations can even further grow. So it's all about a chain of, you know, cycle of training that can be developed, you know, continuously and monitored by all divisions.
Martin, at the first season, you just spoke and mentioned that you have clientele as young as 65 years old. So what about your employees? How are you able to give them the technical skills needed for those guests, diversified guests at your hotels? I do believe that you've got from the younger generation up to the older ones. So how do you, what do you do to invest more into training and so on?
Yeah, I think, you know, it's for sure what Federico was saying as well. It's not only about the skills of providing service. It's not only about even the soft skills. I think it's about creating an environment of well-being for the employees is really important. And you know, when we talk about a younger generation from a customer-based perspective, we have, I believe, younger employees as well. Out of the same reason Federico was saying, there are less people, you know, established in the market who are interested in joining us in Kuwait, as an example. Now, there are certainly very deep rooted training and development programs with Four Seasons, but I believe specifically in Kuwait, we're doing a very good job in exceeding the expectations of our internal customers as well, of our employees, in regards to creating an environment where they feel safe, where they feel listened to, where they feel empowered. And I believe this empowerment and this combination of well-being at the workplace is really driving an interest in being more intuitive from a service perspective. And that's really I believe where the luxury traveler is looking for nowadays. It's not about the scripted service, it's about being able to adjust and adapt in regards to specific situations and thinking outside of the box. And I believe you can only, as an employee, do this when you feel comfortable in your shoes and you feel comfortable that someone has your back in regards to, you know, the decisions you're making on the fly.
Eli and Urs, if I go back to both of you, you as well operating a hotel that has been on the market for a long time, and at the Regency too, what is the retention rate? Are you seeing that we have a shift in the age bracket of the employees that are employed at your hotels? How is it really going, and what is affecting that?
I have to say that good thing in Kuwait that not only the customers or the clientele are very loyal, but also the employees. So turnover rate in my property is very manageable. Let me say that, which sometimes ease the job of trainings and others. We as international brand, definitely, this is one of our main KPIs and objectives. Needless to talk about the programs, everything is digitalized, and we focus a lot, exactly how also Federico and Martin just mentioned. We moved from the technicality of the trainings to the emotional intelligence and emotional connection with the customers, and all our, let's say, audits and programs and follow-ups with our team is mainly start putting more load and weight on the emotional part of the service. Having loyal employees, been with you for some times, this is a good thing, that because at least you know that you gain their loyalty. You focus a little bit with them on their technicality and all the new generation, what are they looking for. However, the core of the subject is there. I'm sure similar to IAG, most of the other brands, today we start having a lot of, everything is measured, so we can't anymore just do training for doing training. So, and nowadays they compete or they measure you against others. So we don't talk anymore about RGI, for example, which is the revenue generation index, but also about GSI, which is the guest service index. So today you compete and you are measured on definitely daily, monthly, and yearly basis compared to your comp set. And for example, IAG initiated last year, starting 2023, that broaden a little bit the measure. So it's not only about the same concept that you have in terms of business concept or financial, but they move to the other scale. So let's say if you are an mid-scale or upper scale 5 stars or something, so they want to start targeting the higher if you want part of the line. And this is definitely, it was always challenging at the beginning, the first stages. However, you can see the growth year on year, and you can see the service that is given and offered to our customers. And for our properties here, mainly in Kuwait, thank you for the team and everyone working there. The results are year on year growing, and definitely this is due to their commitment and due to the programs that is built in within our brand.
How much do you invest in training? You are an independent hotel, so you are not part of a chain that has already its integrated training programs. So how much is this something that you invest in?
Yeah, I mean, most international hotels have their platforms where the employees can do their online trainings. You assign to them, and they have their target to meet. And of course, in a freestanding hotel like us, we are focusing more on personalized training, especially with cross exposures, where we foster also this culture of maintaining the employees within the hotel, as they can grow within the hotel. So, you know, potential employees which can work in another department, and as such, this is something key for us, that we always have this cross exposure culture. And when a position comes available, actually a lot of internal applicants would be very much interested to be transferred to this position. I think you know, the training is something key, which has to come down to the culture of where we want to go and have. Our culture is Arabian hospitality. which are born within Kuwait. So we apply this very much and focus on developing our team, since most, of course, they are coming from overseas. Yeah.
Thank you. Now, if we move to a subject which is very much of an emerging and a trend, which is sustainability. So, how much is it gaining like really importance at your hotels, and what are you doing to be implementing sustainable measures at the Grand Hyatt?
As a company and as an industry, now everybody is trying to be a little bit more conscious about, especially because our footprint from an industry point of view is very big. So the least we can do is to really tackle the things where we can make a difference on the day-to-day operation, right? So we just partnered with a company named Orbix that manages the control of waste, and we produce a lot of food waste, right? So technically, sister hotels that have applied it have seen savings of 25% of reduction in waste. We're also, obviously, the segregation of waste is very important, right? I think, we try to do our part. It's not perfect, right? And I think there needs to be a link with the government. This has to be inter-industry collaborations, right? And besides that, is really from an employee point of view to build the conscience of being mindful about the environment, lights, papers, electricity, water, and so on and so forth. So I think overall, we're doing, but it's never going to be enough. And I think it's a journey, and we've just started it as a newly opened hotel. But
maybe just to add, because our own company actually is one of the LEED certificate companies that support the Greek initiative in terms of buildings at Kuwait level, not only in terms of hospitality. So this is actually goes on the spirit of the products that we currently have. Yeah, just to give an example, at Movenpick level, in terms of starting the beginning of the 2023, move to a plastic-free resort. So all all these dispensers, the shampoos, the amenities that we have in our rooms that moved all to a paper's list. There's no plastic bottles in all of the offering in our restaurants. Same applies for the water related to the shower pumps or the landscaping. So what you can use to reduce the effect of the water itself, or even again how to use the towels, educating the guest itself in terms of the services provided related to that. However, there are a lot of, I believe, is needed in terms of a sustainable approach at Kuwait level, not only at hospitality level, to drive that at all aspects, so it becomes something that drives the sustainability of the economy related to the Kuwait vision of 2030, which is we need to have a sustainable economy that built on diversity and different segments.
Yeah, I guess from Four Seasons perspective, similar to with Hyatt, certainly as a large international company, sustainability over the last years has become more and more important, and is now really a pillar of our strategy moving forward. Here in Kuwait, I mentioned LEED certification. We will be this year the first LEED certified hotel, after in the summer 7 years of operation. We have started bottling our own water, and it's an interesting component because I was initially a bit concerned in regards to, how does the luxury traveler in Kuwait adapting to this shift, and extremely positive feedback throughout, no challenges, so the bottling of the water, important part, but I believe this mechanisms like waste management system, composting, bottling your own water, being single-use plastic free are one part of sustainability. What we're trying, or we've started last year, was partnering as well with some of the local hospital and hospices in regards to doing the right thing of taking care of children's in need or inviting the children to a hotel and offering afternoon tea to them, beach cleanups and tree planting and recycling, certainly donations. So it's a full-on approach of managing your hotel, I believe. And, as a company as well as a hotel, we really believe that, as other companies as well, that sustainability is the way forward. And we get measured on this. And I believe that, what we are hearing from, for example, the Burj, is that LEED certification, as an example, is selling office space, right? Because international businesses are looking for sustainable partners or partners who have very strong sustainable values. So there is this worldwide approach, and I believe even right now in Davos, sustainability is one of the things the leaders are speaking about.
Exactly, and we are seeing more and more clients as well being very sensitive about that specific issue and choosing hotels as such. Would you like to add anything, Yeni?
So simply, I don't get my bonus if I don't
So
achieve
that's becoming really
couples
one
of
the,
green targets. So we take it
Okay.
really seriously, and I know that many companies do the same. Definitely, there's different parts, things related to the client itself, things related internally to the team, and definitely there's the third one, which is the suppliers and others. So we have a lot of things in place. We have our own Green Engage program, and you need to be also working with a third party, accredited by a third party like Green Key Hotels and others. Carbon reduction is definitely one of the main. However, we target all utilities, water separately, gas, oil, and then electricity. So we have like a system that measures on daily basis. This will be part of our daily morning briefing, talking about yesterday's consumption and based on occupancy, based on the business compared. Definitely also this is a cost factor, which we start to benefit from that as hotels and being more, if you want, understanding as employees, everyone, even an engineer working in the back area, or maybe someone, a housekeeping agent who's cleaning a room. So there's a lot of things. Mainly started with like paperless things on the reception. In the rooms, we are involving always the customers, and you're right, a lot of, this awareness is becoming globally, and then this is part of a marketing project too. Lately, we have bulk amenities, something called bulk amenities. As Martin mentioned, we were a little bit worried from the reaction of the guest. So we are not a luxury as we are mid-scale. However, the feedback was great on a global level. So everything in the rooms, you see it like kind of a global amenities, for the soaps, lotions, or others. And the newest project was to digitalize everything related to the back office. So I know all of us as GMs, maybe we sign at least, a couple of hundreds, maybe a day of papers. So now everything is systemized. We just started this program beginning of the year, and definitely very big difference on the paper use and others. So actually there's a lot, and it's within IG, it's a 5 years plan that is every year we added, and we kind of scale the project, starting with, let's say, this year based on your budget. You need to budget 1 or 2 projects, and then next year you need to budget something else, starting, for example, with LED for the hotel, boilers, and then others. So I'm sure it's never enough, this subject, and definitely we all support that, and we need to focus a bit more on that. Thank you.
Great. Basically, before that we conclude, because we came to the end of our session, we know that there have been many announcements in Kuwait. We're expecting to have Arabelle's hotel opening soon. Intercontinental, you just announced that, Eli. Hampton by Hilton, Park Inn. We have Andreas here who told us about the renovation of the JW that should be reopening. So any future projects as well for you, gentlemen? Yes.
Maybe something to add, because as you mentioned, when we discussed the hotel hospitality, what does it really need? Is it more hotels? Is it more luxury? Is it mid-scale? Is it new segments? And from Arjana perspective, what we had looked at that we will be opening soon. The first wellness hotel in Kuwait, which is that will be
The
a very
wellness hotel?
wellness, so that would be a very unique product, which I don't think any hotel still consists of the whole products of the wellness journey, whether in terms of the spa, the health products, in coordination with our sister companies, Riaya Hospital, which again that can offer a lot. We know that the wellness hotels worldwide is growing year over year. We know that a lot of Kuwait is traveling abroad just to experience the wellness in different parts of Europe, East Europe, etc. So again, from this region and abroad, hopefully soon we will be opening and launching that, which will be a great product that will be catering and at least not replicating and adding capacity in terms of market.
This is coming in 2024?
Yes, it's coming hopefully in 2024.
Okay. Any other announcements that we can have from Orica?
First of all, wow, another competitor in the market, so great. Thank you very much. We are going to open a reimagined Al-Banda lounge. For some of you who have been to the Four Seasons, the lounge will actually be partially closed in, so it will become a glass enclosure similar to the apple cubes you have seen in some parts of the world. So it's a really interesting, from a design perspective, approach, and certainly from a concept as well, something which is not seen yet, I believe, here in Kuwait. So we actually opening the reimagined Al-Banda outdoor area in September, October of this year. So construction is taking place as we speak, and we're super excited about another food and beverage offering at the property. In addition to that, we just opened actually a cigar lounge as well at the Four Seasons in partnership with Cigar 21. So, yeah.
Okay. So I'll be opening the floor for questions from the audience. If anybody would like to ask anything, Lisa? Okay.
One topic we didn't discuss is technology. I was curious to know how important is technology in hotels, specifically in Kuwait, and what do you project will be the most important technological concept that will be relevant in 2024?
If I may start with just have a microphone in front of me. I do believe from a luxury segment that technology certainly is extremely important in regards to having a seamless transition from offline to online, from a guest experience perspective. I personally do not believe that technology will take away on high touch, high personalized service. But I do believe that technology will assist us in the future to have easier procedures. We've started working heavily with Four Seasons on a Four Seasons chat and app. But in comparison to other companies, we actually don't have a chatbot. So we have a person who is answering the chat. Here in Kuwait, the majority of our customers are very tech-driven and very non-verbal interaction-driven. So we have seen a huge uptake over the last 2 or 3 years in regards to the use of social media, the use of WhatsApp, as well as our Four Seasons chat. So I do believe that technology will certainly speed up a lot of processes. AI, again, it's like how does hotels integrate AI into day-to-day life? But I do believe from a luxury segment, it will be more back of house. It will not be as much front of house, where I could see some value in probably 2, 3, possibly even 4-star hotels in integrating some of the technology in the front of house as well.
Maybe just to add, to mention, we all, yes, maybe you had highlighted artificial intelligence, and that's, we can see how things has been becoming progressively in all segments, not only in the hospitality industry. And I'm so sure that will be affecting us much more than we even expected. When we go back, maybe 6 months ago, we were not so sure what is artificial intelligence. Now, most of the industry start relying to that. However, there is always a trick between the technology and the personalized service. So how we can use that technology to improve the guest journey itself, i.e. there are a lot of scope that I believe hotels can invest and improve, such as mobile check-in. Why I need to go to the front office to do the check-in? If you go to other industry, you can do the check-in through your mobile. Why do I need to go to my rooms using a key card? Why I don't use my mobile and to go for the guest keys and inside there? So there are a lot of potential which does not affect the personal experience, but shorten the interactions where people usually have some certain of queue or bottlenecks in terms of the guest journey, at the broader level. But again, we need to be careful related to the technology, because the cost of maintaining that security in terms of the safe environment, in terms of the security, because we know how difficult in terms of the hacking or the online system deliveries, that it needs to be they need to feel safe from both the hotel industry and as well from the customer perspective. So I believe the whole aspect should be properly covered from the authority-wise, from the security-wise, and from the guest experience itself in terms of journey.
Any further questions?
I can just add on to this. For us, we actually, our owner, Mr. Jamil Al-Sani, is very into technology. And he recently traveled to the US and he brought back a company which I was in contact recently, and they do pretty much everything what is surveillance. So we actually are on a pilot mission now on 3 areas. One is the reception, one is the lounge, and one is the event space, where we can, the cameras are detecting the guests, see how long they're sitting, what are they consuming, and how long is the staff actually coming to serve them. And in banqueting example, they're counting. So right now we used to have a person from security counting the guest check of how many guests are coming. Now we have a camera who is counting the guests and is replayed and it's exactly accurate numbers coming. So these are just some technology features which are in the market available and are becoming more and more present actually.
But that will be taking us back to the thought of data protection and privacy and so on. And this is like a thin line, especially in this industry, I do believe.
Yes.
Yeah. Juma.
Yes, I have a question. What could be done, or what would be your recommendation that something very hands-on that could really impact and get you more tourists in Kuwait? What would be something very hands-on that could be done? Because I guess this is something important.
I'm looking I think if the GCC regulation on tourist visa, which was passed, right, and it unified the approach. If that goes through, already that will make a significant change in the way people will be able to travel, and that will open a lot of doors. Honestly, I'm hopeful. Are you hopeful? We're hopeful.
Maybe just as well to add, there is a great visionary, by Kuwait in terms of 2030, moving out from, depending on the oil to a diversified, segments based on 7 pillars, and the hospitality is part of that. So when we look at what are the challenges or what the opportunities that can be done, to develop and improve that, there are different aspects. One is like the one that we could help and work together between the private and the governmental sectors, not at individual hotels, but working with Koha tourism boards, making positioning first of all, Kuwait as what brand, what segments that we could really target to bring in. Is it cultural? Is it authentic? Second point related to the infrastructure itself. Yes, there are a lot of museums that open, a lot of cultural center. Soon there will be a new airport, so you don't need to wait that long queue yesterday. So there will be a new airport that can, help us in terms of the not only point-to-point traffic, but international travel, transit related to that. And the third point related to the, the economic, the potential of the economy to grow, especially it is, it has a strong economy, but it needs to be diversified, which is again, can help all the different segments come to Kuwait, whether it is corporate travel, medical travel, sports, and governmental, affairs. And MICE, definitely. And I believe the last one, which I had again shared, Kuwait is not a standalone country. So yes, Qatar is improving. They're offering a lot in terms of tourism, Saudi Arabia, UAE. So how we can all of them integrate? So when you go, as example, a Kuwaiti traveler, want to go to Europe, he will not go to one place. He go to one place as a destination by airplane, then continue by train, or continue by car, continue by bus. So imagine that can be replicated where we have the same language, we have common religion, common regulations that could really develop the area itself in terms of GCC.
Mr. Najia, you have a question.
Well, only question for everybody, general one. Are you facing any difficulties to convince your owners about the results of the hotels regarding where we are today? Are you facing any difficulties to pass your budget, for instance, and so on and so forth?
I need the mic.
Muted that. Don't record it.
I will go back.
You're still on camera.
It's live.
Yeah, I will go back to the previous question first about what could be done in Kuwait. I think this sector, specifically in Kuwait, is a bit initial, right? So, thank you for Mr. Najia and Koha and all others, but I have to give a small example. In Qatar, despite World Cup and everything, and this is by the Ministry of Tourism and when we used to meet them prior to the World Cup. So the whole tourism in Qatar represents less than 4%. But there is Qatar National Tourism Authority, there is a Supreme Committee, there is, I think, a couple of big segments within the Ministry of Tourism that they focus only on hotel industries, and I wish that part of the new vision for Kuwait to have this specific kind of attention to that segment, and then I will continue that, and I think we need the owners support with that, and honestly speaking, I will talk on my level and with my owners. Yes, we do struggle sometimes. They do understand the market, and I think we did reach a stage in Kuwait that they are convinced. So let's go together and try to find this common ground for everyone to put their hands with us and not only questioning. We were talking that general managers nowadays, they are becoming like boxing back in the middle between the market condition, between the brands itself, and then our brands, and between the owner's expectation and between others. But I do believe that I was here in the past, I came back, I see that there is kind of self-criticism that we really need to do that, which is very healthy and very positive, and we're looking forward. We, from our positions, I'm sure everyone in his property will do our best with the owners, and then with Koha and with all other authorities, really to find this kind of committee that we could get back to, and their prime intention and target and objective is really to help this sector, because as we can see, it's a big sector and definitely will grow for the future, and definitely there is potential. Thank you.
Maybe just to, sorry. maybe just to add, budget is always budget, whether hospitality or restaurants, it's always difficult. Every owner wants to maximize the assets he has to improve on that. I believe what could improve to get the mutual acceptance, a couple of things. One, which is I believe is missing, there is no proper indicators in the market to rely on. So usually you have your own figures comparing last year, and at the best scenario you have your best, the STR or the overall, or at the smaller level. What's really missing is that there's no proper feeder from the relevant authorities or association to say, hey, I want to grow by that percentage based on what? Is it 10? Is it 15? Is it 20? Is it what? To what aspects? Second thing, the ambiguity related to the economic itself and the regulations. Are we expecting next year that visa will be open? Are we expecting the economy will go back and opening the business travelers there? That can help you. So the challenge that we have, that there is unclear known that the argument will be coming is more about I need to push more based on opinion or based on a rational history of in terms of your numbers, but not based on a relative impact or indicators, whether related to your GDPI, the inflations, the consumer index related to that. So all of this can make usually the budget more compelling from both sides in terms of what you could really achieve or what is your growth in terms of a budget.
Thank you so much. If we do not have any more questions, so I would like to thank you, Federico, again, Fadi, Martin,
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us.
Eli, and Urs. And that was a really very insightful discussion. And thank you so much for your input.
Thank you.